this panel today. I want to start off, maybe you can give us, both of you, a line or two summarizing, so for you, The Edge of Reality, and then for Mike, Into the Shadows, for those who aren't familiar.
Okay. Well, The Edge of Reality, it's basically the story of what if the KGB had attempted sabotage on the Apollo 11 launch in July 1969. It was just kind of a scenario I had in my head for a while, and I didn't recall ever seeing anything done about that before. And originally kind of dreamed it up as a James Bond type of story, but I knew I was never going to James Bond script to Eon or anything, so I decided to come up with my own character, and Jeff Faulkner was born, and he's, in some ways, like me, he's a guy from Georgia, kind of a country guy, and not the most likely kind of person you would think is a CIA agent, but he's a Vietnam vet, Marine Corps, which I'm not, but he is, and he fluent in Russian, able to blend in any environment, and he's kind of on his second or third mission at this point by the time the events of this story begin, and he's basically just trying to thwart this attack on the Apollo 11.
Right. Where did the title The Edge of Reality come from?
That's funny. Yes. That is the name of an Elvis Presley song, which, and before anyone wonders, it's okay to use song titles as your book titles are not copyrighted, because they reuse song titles all the time. And when I heard that song years ago, and I don't know if I even thought of the story first, but I thought, gee, this song sounds like a James Bond theme. It was from 1968, one of Elvis's worst movies, but it's got a great song in it. And it thought it sounded like a great title. It tied into what the story's about, it's being on the reality of walking on the moon and the space program and so on. And that's where I got the title. The sequels, Solitary Man and White Room, also come from songs you're probably familiar with, Neil Diamond, Solitary Man, and White Room by Cream. In both cases, I kind of worked the title into something in the story so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I picture it basically to open with a story with the title sequence, Maurice Binder style, sort of, with that song as the opener.
See, this is the cool thing about being a spike on. If I said Maurice Binder to my friends, they would say, "Who does he play for?" So we none of us need to have that backup.
Just a couple of paragraphs saying basically what I want to happen, beginning, middle, and end. And this is what I teach my kids when I'm trying to get them to write something too, a narrative. And then I go back and I do, I should have said summary first, and then you do the outline. You kind of break it down as to what's going to happen, in what order, and what section of the book, and so on. And then I just start a first draft, and I do it by hand. My first drafts have all been in these steno pads, because the first book I wrote, which was one of the Westerns, I did just on my breaks at work, on a prior job, I would just sit in this little couch in a quiet part of the building on break and start just writing the story. I had the idea, and I would just write a chapter at a time, and I'd go home and read it to my wife and just kind of give her a little bit of the story as it goes along, and keep on the edge of the seat, kind of suspense like an old serial, from the 30s or something, and such. And then, of course, go for the second draft, typing it, adding more detail, then making sure some of my facts that I think are straight in my head are actually correct, and so on. Basically, I first started writing the Western, and I did that one, and then I did The Edge of Reality back in 2009 or so, and I tried the traditional route for a while, sent several query letters. I did get some responses, they were polite rejections, but and then some I didn't even hear back from. And for years, my wife said, she'd gotten a Kindle, and I was telling you earlier, I'm not really a high-tech guy. I do what I have to with computers, but I'm always kind of behind the curve on that stuff, just because I'm old-fashioned, I guess. But so I held out for years, kept trying it the other way, and then finally, in November 2016, she convinced me, I'll just go through Amazon and do the ebook thing, and it was very easy and fun to do. Coming up with of course, had the story, coming up with the cover, which, I've got one of them here. I shot these myself, I just kind of assembled some props and took pictures, and I thought they looked better than 90% of the ones you see on the, some of these ebook covers are terrible. I'm sure you've seen them, and the cheesiest looking things you could see, but I think a cover's important, and Amazon, it's easy to work with. It obviously doesn't pay much, but it's something fun and something that I hope can be a stepping stone to something else one day, maybe an agent and, publication in the traditional sense. When I was first starting to write these books that I've published 10 years or so ago, I was working in the insurance business, and
Tom Clancy started.
yeah,
insurance.
thank you, because I was like,
So you got something ahead of you.
oh, hope so.
Absolutely.
But I would just try to find time to write, and it was an office job, and I had a little more time here and there to do the writing, but I've changed jobs since then. Now I actually manage a plant nursery at an Ace Hardware, and that, it's a lot more hours, being a manager, more responsibility, don't have as much time. And, making the time is just, between homeschooling the kids and going to work and taking care of the farm and everything else, making the time has been more difficult in recent years. That's why I've put out everything I've completed, but I am working on something. I'm actually working on a prequel to this Jeff Faulkner trilogy about his father, Ethan, who was a CIA agent in the early days, actually OSS for World War II, and then CIA. So I've been kind of trying to work on a World War II era story now for some time. But that's the ideas, the stories, the summaries. I've got pages of them. It's just the time to put it all out there while maintaining my other responsibilities. That is the challenge.
Yeah. And this is classic spy movies. This is what we're on the... All right, so we just want to bring the recording.
You already got me. That.
I've got you. I've got you.
You got to get CG now.
This will be
CG.
new.
You agreed Roger Moore's the best Bond, so
Oh,
that's...
yeah. So, right. I did this already a while, and that's your turn.
Yeah, I'm missing enough days to be prepared, I think.
All right, so, Chris, what is your favorite spy novel?
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Ian Fleming.
What is your favorite spy movie?
I'd have to say a tie between For Your Eyes Only and Patriot Games.
Who is your favorite spy?
James Bond.
And who is your favorite 007?
Roger Moore.
Oh!
Yeah, I grew up with him, he's great.
Who is your favorite spy villain?
I'm going to be a little off on this one and say Max Zorin, the Christopher Walken character from the View to a Kill. Not one of the best Bond movies, but he's a great villain.
Yeah, I don't think we've had that one on
I mean, he
the...
plays in Perfect Psycho. He's Christopher Walken, so, he's a great actor.
And who is your favorite spy author?
Fleming.
Fleming. Okay. So finally, it's the height of the Cold War. You're embedded in the German Democratic Republic. You're allowed one book, one spy gadget, one spy character to help you escape if needed, one bottle of booze, one record or CD to listen to, and one Bond girl to help you. So, what book would you take with you to East Berlin?
The U.S. Army Survival Guide. I've used that for times in my writing.
Good answer.
I knew you'd know.
I have to pick that one up. Which spy gadget?
The 25 Beretta. It's a compact firearm, and it's a good one to have. I think you can do it.
And which spy character would you call up to help you escape?
As far as a Bond type
It could be
associate, anyone, I would say Milos Colombo from For Your Eyes Only.
Nice.
He was a great sidekick.
With his, yeah, with his pistachio.
And Topol.
Yeah. What about a bottle of booze to raise your spirits when you're there in Prenzlauer Berg?
I would say a single malt Glenlivet Scotch.
Good stuff. What about a record or CD to listen to?
The On Her Majesty's Secret Service soundtrack by John Barry.
Ooh,
I love that theme.
Yeah.
I like that theme better than the actual Bond theme.
Fantastic. And finally, which Bond girl would you recruit to help you escape?
My wife's in the room. I better be
That's
quiet.
enough.
No, I would say, honestly, and I told her I was going to say this, and this is my honest answer. M, the Lady M, played by Judi Dench. I think she would be the most knowledgeable, helpful, and she's like a mom to Bond, so everybody needs a mom.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining
you
the
so much
panel.
for
I know there's other
Thanks.
things
Thank
going
you.
on you might want to attend, so thank you for spending some time with us.
Really enjoyed it.
Please do check out Spybury. We try and put a show out every 2 weeks. You can find us at spybury.com or on iTunes and Google Play and everything else. We try and do an author interview once a month. We also have something called Dead Drop 5. So that's when the guests can actually come up with 5 books that they want their handler to stash for them. And that's a great way of having our listeners come on the show and talk through the 5 books that they really enjoy. We also have a brush pass. I know Matthew here has recorded one, where if you send in, you've read a book, you want to tell all the Spybury community what you think about it, use your phone, record 5 to 10 minute review, how you found the book, send it in to us, and you get a $20 Amazon gift voucher if we air your brush pass. So there's lots of really cool ways to get involved with Spybury. And finally, we have a very active Facebook group. These 2 gentlemen and Matthew are members. I think you are also. So we have over 500 people. I have to say, it has devastated my bank balance being a member of that group because I'm discovering so many fantastic authors and great books. I'm actually having to move my library, my Spybury at home to a bigger room because I just can't keep up, but it's fantastic. I can't think of any better way to spend one cash than on fantastic literature. So do check us out at spybury.com. Thank you, everyone.
Can I be so bold to add one thing
Sure.
on that? And for those of you that haven't listened to Spybury, I mean, it is unbelievable. This discussion group, what you'll see is different than other Facebook groups is the level of knowledge of guys like Matthew Kressel, Matt Brasher, Ian Douglas, some of these guys, and Clarissa Ackerod is somebody I think who's over in the United Kingdom. And so if you haven't heard of them, these are detailed descriptions of the book, of these books. I mean, you're going to get a good idea. This is not, I like Mike Brady's book because it was cool, or I like C.G. Faulkner's book, it was really neat. You're going to get a lot of in-depth conversation about these books that really will educate you. I have learned so much. This is not a plug. There's nothing being paid here. But you need to really, my recommendation is check this out and look at the interaction for yourself. I actually don't use social media very often anymore, but I do make a point to go to Spybury at least once or twice a week and maybe do a like or say something. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing that I really hope that you all take advantage of and share with your friends who really like this espionage genre. So thanks for the time.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you everybody else for joining our session.
Thank you.